Night two at the spring 2020 demo showcase for GamePlanU. Same rules as last week, same rules as last week. Nothing's changed. You get 5. You get a Q&A for 5. Bob said he's running a little late. He's on a plane, I guess. So anyways, want to thank everybody for jumping on, those who are watching live on YouTube and Facebook, and all the staff that have worked on these projects. You, the founders who put so much into this in the last 90 days, 60 days, as long as you've been involved with us and everything that you've battled through for this last time, the last 60 days, I guess. Let me see, a little housekeeping. We're going to be following up. So everybody who's watching, if you went through already, we're going to be following up in the next couple of weeks. There'll be an email that goes out that connects you to Tony and Bob. Keep going. If it gets laggy on you, if you need to drop off, you could always jump back on again. And I'll be jumping back in to the presentation with about 30 seconds to go to wrap it up in final comments. And you can make comments. And we'll bounce if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, and we'll bounce them on to the live broadcast. Take a deep breath, and everything's going to be posted on Sports Biz Radio Network on YouTube later on. Tony, you have any words before we get cranking?
A few words. I've got a dog barking in the background, so I apologize for that. Can't control him. To the founders, really excited to connect with you this evening. Share your passion, share your vision, and share how you're going to create an operation to actually monetize your vision.
That's perfect. Well, the first up is, thank you. I wasn't not paying attention to you. I was distracted by the dog, I think. We got Ryan Drummond, and let's see if Ryan's here. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, how are you guys?
There we go. What an entrance.
I'm stretching.
Oh, fantastic. You ready to go, Ryan? You're on the clock, buddy.
I'm ready. How you doing, Tony? Nice to meet you. My name is Ryan Drummond. I am the CEO and founder of The Athlete Book. And we are looking to raise a 1.5 convertible note, 8% interest, 24-month maturity, 8 million cap with a 20% discount are the terms that we're looking at, although we haven't started taking money into the convertible note. So there is some room for negotiation. 20 years ago, I was an All-American lacrosse player. And I didn't have the best grades. So, I got into a Division III school that wasn't too hard to get into. And my sole focus was to transfer to a Division I school. And I was able to do that. I got into a Division I school. My sole focus then again was like trying to make the starting team. I made the starting team that year. The next year I was trying to keep that position. The year after that, I was captain of the team and graduated in my mind, a student athlete lacrosse player. I did have a sports marketing degree, but ultimately I wasn't really sure exactly who I was. And I wasn't really sure what my personality traits were and how that might relate to an opportunity. And because of that, I kind of jumped around. It took me a little while to find my footing, which was eventually in recruiting, which I spent the majority of my career on. But the Athlete Book is created. It's a software as a service, and it's a virtual gamified learning management platform that focuses on professional development of an elite athlete, career development, job placement, and internship development or job placement. We really, when an athlete comes into our platform, the first thing that we do is we have them take a 2-minute psychographic assessment that lays out their dominant traits, their weakest traits, how those traits align to a possible career match. And then the goal is to take them through micro experiences that we kind of gamify. We want to build them up and expose them to different worlds. Now, that could be a virtual hiring event. We do a lot of virtual hiring events. We've done so with JP Morgan Chase, Amazon, Yelp, Under Armour. These are chat-based events that allow them to have this one-on-one connection and explore jobs in a virtual setting. And it's funny, it's like when we started doing those types of events, we were doing it because we were wanting to solve the problem that athletes spend 80 hours of work or 80 hours between school and sports, not because coronavirus is not allowing us to stay in connection. So timely in that sense that our focus has always been on a virtual platform to have the athlete be able to jump in and learn and experience. After they have everything on our platform is attributed to points, right? So Amazon might do a features talk. If you watch that Zoom conversation, you get points. Those points go on a leaderboard. When we open up our SaaS offering for universities, those athletes are competing against other athletes on their soccer team, let's say. And they may not, freshmen on the team may not know what they want to do in 5 or 6 years, but they don't want to be the lowest on the leaderboard. And the coach doesn't want to have the lowest on average points amongst other coaches in the team. So the coaches are competing against each other. So one of the things that sets us apart is that the competitiveness that athletes already have to want to consume this kind of educational content. And that could also cross over to brands. I know that your company works with Chipotle. Let's say there was a brand play where because we do a lot of contests too. Chipotle has a 1-minute video of a chef that's talking about nutrition. They get points for watching that type of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways that we can integrate brands, influencers, course content creators, and obviously employers, which is our key focus and how we make money. I would still say we're still kind of pre-revenue. We did about 11,000 in revenue last year. The impressive thing that I'm proud of is that we are on the vendor list of JPMorgan Chase, Amazon, Yelp, and Under Armour. With our last virtual hiring event that we did with Amazon at the end of the spring season, we had, we positioned ourselves that if we were able to get 5 hires from that virtual hiring event, and have at least 50 athletes come to the event, that we were in a good position to secure a larger contract. We had 736 athletes register for that event. They had 99 applications from that virtual hiring event. The recruiters didn't have to travel anywhere. They didn't have to shake anybody's hands, and so far they've made 6 hires from that one event, that 1 hour, and they had over 476 athletes from different schools attend. So the employer branding reach is very vast because we have 62,000 college coaches that we could reach out to that represent 600,000 athletes. Originally, I won't say the name of the client, but they wanted to increase their diverse female candidate pool amongst their applicants. So we're able to target just female coaches of a specific sports team and promote a job, a virtual hiring event, a contest. We did a virtual hiring event for that one. The end result was that they had 93 applicants for that one event, and it went out to every single HBCU female sports coach. So that's how we're able to segment and really pinpoint our recruiting strategy. Getting back to the professional development aspect, we've created some of our own content. How to interview, how to work LinkedIn. My background has always been in the recruiting space. I worked at JPMorgan Chase before I left, starting the athlete book. So also have a lot of influencers that are also able to contribute to that content. A lot of course creators that create that content. But what I'm most interested in right now is with the NIL rules changing. So the name, image, likeness rules looking like they're going to change. And while a lot of companies are jockeying to leverage that social brand, what we're focusing on is teaching the athlete how to run a business, how to do a camp in their local community, how to create a virtual transitional experience for maybe a middle school or a high school athlete that we can sell to those parents, right? And do it on our platform. So I'm really excited about that. When you look at the markets, am I up on time?
You get there.
Okay, I'll get to the point. We
land the plane.
Yeah. So employer SaaS is one area where we make money. University SaaS is what we're opening up now. We do also do direct placement, like a traditional recruiting company, working with Medtronic right now. And then we have some a la carte services that we do. Our plan is to exit 3 to 5 years. We think a company like a Teamworks we might be a good complement for, because they don't have the competitive based career recruiting platform. or maybe even more likely a private equity firm that's already well in their portfolio for like recruitment tech. So thank you. That's the athlete book.
Excellent. Appreciate the overview. Well presented. So tell me, I'm just curious. You're obviously very passionate about this. I'm just curious. Where does that come from? Does it come from you being a D3 athlete and not having this resource available for you?
Well, I was a Division I at the end, but yes, I think that's part of it. I never went to a career fair. I didn't really talk to a lot of alumni. Granted, that was 16 years ago by the time I graduated, but I didn't see that. And based off of recent polls that we do in our company, it's still very reflective of the time now, even though the career services have improved. I think we want to develop leaders, and we have athletes that have this high level of grit, but there's not enough focus on developing them as people and exposing them to opportunities. And that, I read one quote from John Locke, a philosopher in the 1600s, that says human potential is limited by human experiences. So you have these high grit individuals that don't have those experiences. And I think that that's something that we could change, and we need leaders right now. And that's where that passion comes from.
So right now, is it just you, or do you have anyone else on the team?
No, we have a number of people on the team. We have a third-party CFO that was one of the best investments. I should have mentioned we did raise a $500,000 round last year. So our investor comes from the fitness space. We have a CTO who's on part-time. The platform is built. We're getting ready to launch a portion of it for the contest that we're about to launch. We've got a number of junior interns and junior level folks at like a $20 an hour range that are focusing on everything from marketing to data analysis, data visualization, so forth. Yeah, right now we have 7 full-time people on the project, or part-time that are contractors.
Right. So I know Rob is going to push us on time soon. So let me ask an important question. Take me through your revenue forecast for the next 3 years.
Yeah. So by the end of 2021, we're looking at 1.8. We're projecting 2023, 12.5, 2024, 24 million. The way that we plan on getting there, virtual hiring events, contest. We're about to launch a national SAC contest that I'll send it to you, and hopefully we have a second follow-up meeting. And also, oh God, I'm blanking on the third part there. I mean, well, our relationships with JP Morgan Chase and Amazon are bringing a lot of people into the platform when we promote their events and virtual hiring events.
And I imagine there's a pretty diverse group of educational backgrounds, majors, et cetera, that you're encountering. Will you pretty much work with any athlete that wants to work on your platform, or is there any type of evaluation or vetting process?
Because our professional development content is relatable to all majors, that's where we can service all. But we really are a great niche for employers and athletes that want to get into like sales, operations, even finance and accounting, really those big 4 type of skill sets that are coming in.
Great.
Good job, Brian.
I wasn't nervous. It's about 95 degrees in my garage right now.
Yeah.
So
no, we didn't seem nervous.
Thank you so much for your time.
We just affectionately call it Sweet G.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Sweet G. Good job, Ryan.
All
right. Up next, hardcore boxing, all the way from Miami Beach, Florida. Where is he on here? Here we go. There you go, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Tony.
live.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. I love the team. I thank you, Rob, for your thank you, Denise. Thank you, Mike. And I love all your ideas to my fellow entrepreneurs. So I have to go back because it's 48 years in 5 minutes. So I will be really fast. I'm a Mexican-Italian guy. My father is a movie producer, distributor, and we've been in the film industry since my grandfather. My mom was an actress, and I lived all over. I lived in Italy. I lived in Dublin, and in high school, I went to Marine Military Academy in Harlingen, Texas, where we had a very good boxing program. So I got in the program, and curiously enough, is the number one demographic in boxing in the world, because US is the number one market. So the Valley, so I started competing in the amateurs, and I did so for like 3 years, and I grabbed a passion for that and soccer, and just sports were a part of my life. Um, then I went to Austin, Texas for college, um, and started private banking in Societe Generale. And here in Miami, I started seeing opportunities in the media industry. So I got in the cinema distribution, and starting that, and left the private banking industry. Uh, and then I saw other opportunities in WWE, which it was the AAA of Mexico. So I grabbed those rights and I sold them, and then I grabbed the second division soccer and sold it. And I started my distribution thing 15 years ago, but then the film took off. I was looking for cable operators to take over Mexican film niche. So now we've grown to 3.4 million subscribers. So we are in Dish, DirecTV, Charter, Time Warner, and now with this pandemic, we just got into Comcast Xfinity. In 2008, it's when it really changed my life. So I met Jose Sulaiman, the grandfather of boxing, and I started hanging out with him. But we had a dream in common. So the WBC has 165 countries attached, divided in 10 confederations, just like FIFA. And he wanted to do the World Cup. And so he said, we have the power that if we do this tournament and whoever wins gets the mandatory fight. So for every world champion, you have a mandatory, and then you have another fight a year. So you have two of them, right? Um, so the experience was great, and we packaged, and we got 165 countries to have this tournament together. But when the press conference 2 days before, he went to the hospital and passed away 3 months later. So we canceled. I knew the back office, and I knew something that nobody knew. So I started the licensing program there. And I think I got the best in the business. So I got Learfield licensing partners so I got the best teachers. So they do all college here. So, and we started this program, and so we partnered with the best brands in boxing. So we did with Adidas, Everlast, Reyes, Title Boxing. Then we did some for water, water, and it was crazy. The thing is that once that happened, it became a problem that I needed to solve. That boxing is everywhere. So television networks are at their own, and they promote their own things. Showtime does that, and everybody does their only promotion, and nothing is together. So for the fan, it's really hard, and we have a lot of homework on Sunday nights or on Sunday mornings. We need to see where everything is. So I started writing this application with everything that Jose Sulaiman showed me. So I first came around, and after writing this application, I saw these sensors that would let me know something that previously was unknown, like force and speed, right? So what's the problem in boxing? So there's not accurate data in boxing. The power punches is everything. So it's left hooks, right hooks, uppercuts, right hands. So it's everything. There's not accurate information. The most important thing about boxing is maybe distance and speed and power. And what about damage? So I started digging, and I knew that this information had a lot of value. And I went to UT and searched for the best advice, that what can they give me a tangible asset with this information. But they didn't know. And I went to the University of Mexico, and it happened the same thing. So then I went to Amazon Web Services, and I looked around, and I came around with these analytics. And the analytics that just came around were stunning. So technology and analytics with the goal of producing accurate data and information about boxing with athlete management systems and artificial intelligence that can predict and expand fans' experience and offering a wider broad of advanced stats. So what is the plan of action is to put the world champions and the 15 best ranked in each division, which is 17 divisions times 15 is 272 of the best boxers in the world, with wearables. But what kind of wearables and why? So we took the sensor, which is TriTech, that would allows me to know if and identify every punch, if it's a jab, if it's an uppercut, if it's a hook, everything, speed and force. So that I was stunned with it, right? But I needed something else. The guys in the analytics told me, why don't you wear in your feet so we know speed and the placement. Your boxing is a different sport. It's, you cannot cross your feet, because if not, you get hit and you fall. So it's a, and what about the watch? So we can supervise them while in off activities and while they're asleep, if they're sleeping well or not. Hold on. What about scale? You see, weight is the number one enemy in boxing, because you have to make a weight, and sometimes you have to go 10 pounds in 3 days. So in order to do that, we have to get better. So we partner with Gatorade to get a better scale on weight. For the live action events, we had what was camera technology. I'm going, Rob. I'm really quick now. So the camera technology, it worked perfect, but it was too expensive. So we came up with stickable. It's some printable stickers that will give me the same information as the other, but at 5% of the price. Now, I go where I began. I wrote this application, and this application is made. The guys that helped me do it is the UEFA, and the Copa America guys, and we can broadcast 5 events at the same time, direct the camera if we want to direct it any way we want it, score a card. But if you're gonna exercise, you can Bluetooth your wearables, and it will go to the guys that do the analytics, and they have this thing called human battery life. But human battery life, what happens there? Now that when you get a punch, it's going to become a boxing battery life. That's what we're developing, which because it's the energy that you waste minus the punch that you get. So it will tell you in the live event how much you're what's your energy at that second. Thank you very much. And
there you go.
Great story. I happen to love the space. I've invested in a wearable company and looked at others. So I'd love to spend more time with you and hear more of those stories. But tell me now, in terms of the product, is it still in beta? How far have you gone with the engineering development? Where are you at with that?
So I got the app, and we're ready to go with it, and we're ready to go with everything. The only thing that we are right now figuring out is getting the budget into for the wearables on the live events, because they cannot be intrusive. The one that we use for training cannot be used on the live events, because that's where you hold your guard, and if you get hit, then you might injure your wrist, and then that's why the camera technology worked, but it was too expensive. So then the stickers is the only budget that we're working about, and we're ready to go. We're ready to go. I mean, and it's actually the best timing to go, because now the top promoters, one is having the this weekend at his mansion a world title shot in London. Matchroom is doing it in his mansion. It's crazy.
So do you have any patents on any of the technology?
No. The technology is not mine. I'm just bringing all the technology together, the analytics together. What I have is the official license data, which is the WBC. And then we will have it for 6 months. And then we let it go to the WBA, IBF, and the other groups. Nobody has done it. So if you can, in the digital space, the thing is that about boxing is that nobody knows their client. So we're planning to use digital technology. So on Beacon, for example, when you enter an arena, it will offer you, hey, you want to participate, who's going to win in this round or whatever, and you make your predictions through my app, and you're here forever. And we have 6 or 7 events per week, so it's pretty amazing. And you know, we can do that at the main events, but we can also do that digitally. The data that it produces, and also for the regular fitness guy. See, so because it will rain down, you know. So if I put it to the best boxers ever, then the other guys are want to know what's my boxing battery life, right? So that's something that we're gonna put for sale too, not only for the fans but also for the athletes in total control.
So what are you trying to raise right now? What are you looking for?
Right now, I'm looking for 2 million. But I think we can crush the numbers down to 1.5.
And have you self-funded so far?
Excuse me?
Have you been self-funding so far?
I've been self-funding so far, yes. I spent since 2008 a bunch. So I got Wasserman Media Group to do the sponsorship when the World Cup of Boxing, and that was a bunch. I've done my dues.
And with that 2 million, what would you do with it?
Just nothing for me. It's just to get the program going, the development, the marketing, and the operations.
Got it. Okay. Love it. Great story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Mauro.
Thank you for your time.
That was legendary. I gotta be honest with you. That was fantastic. Yeah, you're the best. You're the best. The fact that you started laughing at the end is great. All right, man. Good job. Good job, Mauro. Good job, man.
Thank you.
You're the best. All right. All right, good. I just got word from Bob. He's stuck on a plane right now. He's going to try to jump on when he can.
Got it.
And let's see. Get Carter up next. I think he's ready to go.
I'm ready.
Carter, how are you? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you? It's good to see you.
Good. So, Tony, whenever you're ready.
I'm just pulling up his deck.
All right.
Got it. Go ahead.
You got it?
Yep.
All right.
Actually, the presentation will match pretty close to the deck in front of you, but it's very nice to meet you. My name is Carter Russ, and I am the co-founder of Champions Round. At Champions Round, we're developing a brand new way to play both fantasy sports and esports, with the ultimate goal of building the truly most optimized fan engagement tool for the fan of tomorrow. We've already partnered with Adidas and ESPN LA, and we're seeking your partnership today. I'm about to explain a demographic that represents more than 250 million sports fans. I'll speak first for myself. I'm a seasonal fantasy sports player. I love every year when I have one draft a year with my friends, and it's never too fun if I have a bad draft pick or if I have a key injury. That ultimately means that my season could potentially be over and my engagement is lost entirely until the following season. My co-founder, Chase, is a daily fantasy sports player. He likes to play for money. However, he has a kid, he's married, he doesn't have time to be spending hours doing analytical research. So ultimately, he ends up donating his money to the Sharks and ultimately plays by himself. So over time, he slowly stopped playing. Our graphic designer, Jess, she's a big esports fan. She's a gamer, she watches on Twitch, she watches on YouTube, but her esports engagement has always been a passive one. And if she ever wants to watch an esport that she has never played before, there's no good place for her to then wrap her head around the product. So that's what we're here to solve. We've developed a brand new way to play fantasy sports where we break seasons into 4 smaller chunks into different rounds, each with their own draft, each with their own winner. You can play these for free, or you can play them for cash. You can play them with your friends, and you can play them against the world. In doing so, we offer the best odds to win money in fantasy sports, and we keep engagement higher, longer throughout the entire season. And lastly, it's highly gamified to always mean there's something to do. On the esports side, we're developing the first live action game mode. It takes place on your phone, synchronizes with a Twitch stream or an in-venue broadcast. And while you're playing, you answer some very simple preliminary questions, and then the matches start. You watch and you answer questions that happen rapid fire that synchronize with gameplay. If you get them right, you gain points. Get them wrong, you lose points. Decide you need a 5-minute break and don't answer a question, there are no points allocated. And the winner of those contests win the cash prize pot, as well as more of our in-game currencies and progression. In doing so, it allows an esports viewer to be learning which actions are important, which thresholds matter, as well as also giving a great tool for someone that is already an esports fan as well. And it drives all of our users to our highest revenue actions. We make money by through cash prize pots. We keep 15% of all money that's placed into prize pots. 85% is paid out to winners. I mentioned we have progression within app. It's also already highly customized. Our UI supports this very well. You can also buy these things that you would otherwise earn for cash directly. And lastly, we show advertisements very cleverly within the app. We have banners with our relationship through Adidas. They've already expressed purchasing space on the avatars that we have as well. And about our team. I've spent my entire career at large global real estate companies as well as very early stage startups. So I've seen both sides of the coin. I've seen companies start and I've seen them exit. And I've been fortunate enough to earn enough money in my career to invest $450K into the company personally. My co-founder, Chase, ran game production at Zynga Poker, marketing at EA, and actually sold the fantasy sports company in 2015. Our chief content officer was a longtime Fox Sports Bleacher Report writer, sold a fantasy sports projection engine to an odds maker about 3 years ago. Lastly, our CTO, Dan, was actually one of the first iOS developers at Bleacher Report. He was part of their exit to Turner as well. Was most recently director of engineering at FitPlan. So actually he has a lot of experience in the wearable space too, as you mentioned from the last presentation. Lastly, we have a very close advisor. His name's Tion. He created a game studio that he sold after 23 years. So he's kind of our esports guru. And one of our advisors and investors is Garrett Gilbertson, who's the chairman of the Band of Angels in LA. We wrote our first line of code back in March of 2019. We launched a beta that ran through September, through ultimately the end of the NFL season. And we did a couple beta games along the way as well. And to date, we've raised $520K. And we also were graduates of cohort 3 of the Lead Sports Accelerator out in Berlin. And that's how we have the relationship with Adidas. Through our beta, we actually rose to number 6 at one point on iOS for all sports apps. We have over 4,000 registrations, over 5,600 downloads only onto iOS. 73% user retention we're playing with in the last 2 weeks. So we proved our most important hypothesis that we were able to keep fantasy sports players around all season. We acquired users at only $3.72, which is incredibly good for this industry. And we have over 8K on our mailing list right now, the majority of which are on our Android waiting list. And we're going to market with a revenue-generating product this September for the NFL season. Fortunately, it looks like there is going to be one, so we're pretty relieved. And our first esports product is going to be with CSGO. That's going to launch at the earliest December of this year, most likely Q1 of 2021. And then from that point on, it's just more sports and more growth. And as I mentioned, we exist to grow 2 very large industries. The esports industry is already huge. It just passed over $1 billion in revenue, but the amount of eyeballs there is significantly bigger than the amount of revenue it is generating. And we think it's imperative that the industry brings in all sports fans, not just video games fans, in order to meet that, and to bring in sponsorship dollars. And ultimately, our product is built to do exactly that. Also, on the fantasy sports side, we saw it grow pretty tremendously up until around 2008. It stagnated, then daily fantasy sports ultimately reinvigorated the industry. It's stagnating again, and we believe our micro fantasy solution is the way in which to reinvigorate the industry yet again. And we do this by going to market with Gen Z. They're the consumer population of tomorrow. They all own a smartphone. They all have it in their hand while they watch sports. They're highly receptive to influencers. They expect games to be mobile. They expect communities to organize online. And they expect sports to have a tech tie-in. We do all of that. And we also have Tyrann Mathieu of the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as Melvin Gordon of the Denver Broncos, signed as 2-year equity brand ambassadors as well. And they've already proven to be highly receptive to allowing us to engage in this particular audience. We're the only fantasy sports product that's in its optimal form in all 50 states. Great ways to monetize. We have a lot more brand loyalty because we are based on communities that you would not find in FanDuel and DraftKings as well. And we're the only one that puts esports and traditional sports on equal footing. When it comes to exits, it's a very interesting space. DraftKings actually just topped out at $12 billion today, whereas they were $3.3 billion at their IPO about a month ago. But what's amazing about them as a use case is they only have 3 million paying players. There's been a lot of exits in the space where you see the LTV of players to valuation is absolutely tremendous. We're on projections to hit 100,000 users by this time next year. At that point, we'd already be a very attractive acquisition target. So with that, we are raising $1.5 million at a 4.5 post-money valuation. We actually have just got a commitment this week from a venture firm to lead our round. They're going to commit $500K. The majority of that, $750K, goes to digital channels. We have an awesome performance marketer on our team who's highly adept when it comes to segmenting audiences, retargeting ads. So $750K goes to that. $156K plus more equity will go to additional brand ambassadors. We're actually in conversations with Dwayne Wade. He's just waiting for us to get something to go with basketball. 100K will go to deposit bonuses. You deposit 20, we'll give you 5. And the remaining just goes to personnel, R&D. We've got a fully in-house development team. We run a pretty lean, agile operation. I don't collect the salary. So mostly we'll go to growing the product. And lastly, I mentioned we have a relationship with ESPN LA. John Ireland and Steve Mason of the Mason and Ireland show are already calling this the Steve Mason app, mostly because it's a screw up in fantasy sports, so he gets another try. Our beta users have absolutely loved it. And, it's been a great journey so far. We're at the point where we're ready to scale, and we hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Well done. Thanks very much. It's another space that I like a lot. I actually advised a startup in this space several years ago, and they were doing very well until state legislation turned against them for a bit.
That's actually why my co-founder sold his company in 2015. They thought the lights were coming down.
Yeah. Do you remember Sports Lock?
I do not. Take a look, though.
Anyway, great story. So you mentioned that you're at 4,000 users now. Is that right?
That's correct.
And by the end of next year, you're going to be up to 100,000?
Yeah, so that's basically just projecting our spend with actually a slightly higher customer acquisition cost than what we've seen historically. Mm-hmm. We anticipate, we want to do as little as possible to cannibalize our advertisements, but some of that is potentially going to take place. And also we'll now be acquiring paying users as well who are more expensive.
So expand on your acquisition strategy a little bit, please.
Yeah, so we had a great amount of success when it came to, I mentioned influencers. Tyrann Mathieu and Melvin Gordon were helpful, but we found the most success by targeting YouTubers who specifically had games in our demographic. There was one YouTuber, a guy named MMG, who's a Madden mobile YouTuber. So he specifically has an audience of 18 to 24-year-olds. So one post from him got us a little over 1,000 users. So our strategy is entirely digital. It's influencer focused. We found that to be a very good strategy. But we make a very concerted effort not to just blast advertisements completely everywhere without any regard. We really make a good point to target our certain segments very well and figure out what learnings we get and which advertisements are most effective. Also, lastly, I should add, of our 4,000 users, 3,100 were organic. That being that we only really had 900 paid users that we acquired from ads, and the remainder just invited their friends.
That's great.
Yeah.
And average amount of time that your users are spending on the app?
Yeah, so during the beta, we saw about 30 minutes per registration. So we found that to be pretty encouraging.
Yeah. What's to stop you? One last question, Rob, real quick. What's to stop the big boys, FanDuel and DraftKings, and trying to replicate your model?
Yeah, great question. Well, one thing we do know is that ESPN and Yahoo, those guys have no interest in innovating in fantasy sports. We learned that from working closely with them. They liked us because they're a media company. If eyeballs go to ESPN.com, they're happy. And we're a different fantasy sports game that allows them to create content that is unique. So we don't have to worry about them. When it comes to the big boys, FanDuel and DraftKings, they've already tried to find ways to innovate in the fantasy sports space. There's DraftKings tokens on DraftKings that they shoehorned in at the last second. It didn't work. They've tried to make progression a big part and gamification a big part of what they do. And they've tried to build more communal games. But ultimately, the reason people come to DraftKings and FanDuel is to win $1 million. If there's a better contest on FanDuel and they're a DraftKings guy, they switch over with no brand loyalty. And lastly, at this point, they've essentially moved all of their innovation past fantasy sports onto their sports betting platform. So if we make a dent in the universe, they're just going to want to acquire us. When we make a dent in the universe.
Is that good?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Hey, thank you very much for your time.
Enjoyed it.
Good job, Carl.
Thank
See
you.
ya. All right. We're rolling on. Hold on here. Yeah, let me just make sure I got the right one up. Zach is up next. See what we're doing here. Oh, I got a little feedback. You getting feedback? Yeah. Zach. Feedback. Ooh, all right.
Good start.
That was a hell of an entrance.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear you, Zach. There you go.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Are we good? No feedback? You can hear me? All right. Not the start I was hoping for, but
You got my attention.
all right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and for the opportunity to tell you about Drafters. So my name is Zach Zarrett. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Drafters Fantasy Sports. Drafters is a daily fantasy sports platform, so both website and mobile app, that brings together a wide variety of unique formats and features, which create a platform that is more fun to play on, less time consuming, and easier to play than our competition. So we're not just another FanDuel and DraftKings with a salary cap format. The games on our site are live drafts. So similar to what you'd find at the beginning of your season, where you're actually picking in real time, it's interactive. And when you pick a player, they're yours for that contest. What makes it more fun? You actually own your players once you draft them. And we've made a high pace drafting format that's interactive. You can chat during the draft and everything like that. What makes it less time consuming? Our drafts are high pace, and we've built in an automated lineup setting tool, which all of our players have. So, and it's one of the issues when you're playing on DraftKings and FanDuel. Once you draft your team, let's say one of your players is a game time decision and they've been ruled out 5 minutes before the game. That means that you have 5 minutes to get that news and get to your device and make that change manually. So we've built in an automated tool. So if any of your players are ruled out before game time, we're automatically going to take that player out and insert the next best available player into your lineup. And you can also customize that. And then what makes it easier to play? Like when you play on FanDuel and DraftKings, these sites are often dominated by professionals using computer optimizers. You're playing on your own. You can pick any player. You're filling out almost like a lottery ticket. On our site, it's definitely a more level playing field where players have a better chance to win, and they're playing in real time. It's a lot more interactive. So we founded the company in 2015. We're a small team of guys who are all sports fans, love fantasy sports, and we love drafting. And we really wanted to build a platform that instead of just drafting, once or twice, a couple times throughout the season with your friends, we wanted to build a platform that enabled you to draft every day, anytime. The same way that you can go to a poker site anytime and join a contest that starts on demand as soon as it fills up, or a tournament. We wanted to build a place where you can do a fantasy sports draft any day of the year. So we started in 2015. We developed for 2.5 years before releasing our beta at the end of 2017. And we've had a live product since then for just over 2.5 hours. Am I hearing feedback again?
You're hearing my dog's barks. Sorry.
Okay, I didn't know what I was hearing there. So we've had a live product for 2.5 years. We built our user base up to 26,000 players. We've done, had over 450,000 teams drafted, and we've done 3.5 million in contest entries. We generate revenue by retaining a percentage of the prize pool. And it's dynamic, so we take a different percentage based on the size of the contest and how many players are there. So the buy-in and the size of the contest, but it averages out at about 8.6%, which is actually below industry average. But we really want to create a fair playing environment for our players where we're not interested in maximizing the percentage on every single contest. We want to have you as a long-term customer, a long-term player, and create a good, fair environment where you can have actually winning players instead of everyone losing and a couple of players getting lucky and winning $1 million. To create a platform that's a lot more fair. So what happened with coronavirus. All the sports get knocked out, and we've got no daily contests. But we released our best ball format, which is a season-long NFL format with no time consumption, no time commitment, I should say. So once you draft your team, that's your team, and it's locked for the whole season. So there's no ads and drops, there's no trades, and there's no setting lineups, which is awesome because it allows you to, if you want to draft 10 teams, 50 teams, 100 teams, you don't have to worry about the time commitment associated with each contest or each of your teams, which, when talking to a lot of people, they say, oh yeah, I used to play fantasy sports, but I don't have time for that anymore. I don't have time to manage my team. Or some people love drafting, but then they draft their team and then they forget about it and they don't want to come back every week. So we're all about drafting, creating a fun thing. You've got 5 minutes, you're on your lunch break. You can just come on and do a quick draft, 5-10 minutes, and that's your team. And you don't have to worry about the time commitment after that. So back to our best ball format, we released this on March 20th. And since then, we've acquired 1,100 new depositing players, so real money players, which grew our real money player base by 50% in the last 2.5 months. We've started to get, people have really been craving fantasy sports, and we've seen tremendous growth and really starting to become recognized in the space as the place to play. So we're not the only place that has best ball. You can also find that on Yahoo, and you can find it on a couple other places. But we're really separating ourselves with the features and the formats. And when you go to Twitter and hear people talking about, where can I play best ball this off season, we're coming up very often. We're starting to get a lot of industry people, just naturally doing live streams of their drafts on Drafters. And that's something that we sometimes set up as a promotional thing, but people are starting to do it without any, without even talking to them. They're just streaming it as content. We're getting a ton of organic referrals. So to date, we have raised $1.6 million. We're looking to raise an additional $1.5 million as like a Series A before, to really expand our team, continue building a world-class product, and really increase our marketing budget. The majority of the funds that we've raised to date have all gone into developing the platform. It's a complex piece of software. We offer a wide range of formats and features on both the mobile apps and the website. So most of it's gone into development. Now we really feel we're ready to take that next step and get some of those bigger partnerships and invest more into the marketing. So that's where we plan to spend the majority of that next raise. So I guess I've been rambling for a little while here. I'll let you go ahead and ask some questions.
Thank you. Great story. Congrats on your success over the past 5 years.
Thank you.
So you said we a few times. So tell me more, who's on the team? Who makes up the we?
Okay. So I started this with a co-founder, one of my best friends in university. We started it at the end of our 4th year. And just, the day that school ended, we incorporated a company, and that was it. And then actually shortly after releasing our beta platform, about 2 months after that, one of our biggest players, him and his brother mainly was one of our biggest players. But he reached out to us and said, "Hey, I love the platform. I'm a software developer, and I'd love to join the team. I'm currently working here at this job, but I would take a pay cut and join the team, and have some equity." And then that's what he did. So he's our CTO. And then we also have a few other developers. So it's a small team, 6 full-time dedicated to the project. Yeah, that's the team.
So all of your code you're doing yourself, all technology you're doing in-house?
Yeah, it's all, well, we do work with a development company for some, but it's mostly all in-house. And I'm not personally one of the coders, but I'm very hands-on with the product and the UI, and really bring the bring the vision from playing fantasy sports all my life. So,
where did the 1.6 million come from? Who are those investors?
Mostly through just family and friends. My family's put in, myself, my family, and my co-founder's family. We've a lot of it's come from us, and then we do have a few different angel investors as well.
And where's your valuation at?
So the valuation, we're looking to raise that 1.5 at 8.5 million pre-money. So for 15% of the company.
And you said you have 26,000 users, is that right?
Yeah, so 26,000, yep.
And is that historical or 26,000 current?
That is total registrations. So total members on the site. Each month we have typically 2,000 to 4,000 people playing, depending on the season.
What kind of retention numbers do you have?
So I mean that gives some indication, but we have a lot of players playing every day. It's definitely a top heavy type of business. So along the way, one of our marketing methods was doing free contests that, offering people a free contest that they can come in, try the platform. And it was very successful in bringing in registrations, but in terms of the conversion, it's really hard to convert those free players. Yeah. That's what we've found. So since then, we've been working, a lot more targeted. We've kind of cut out that free marketing and gone a lot more into working with influencers in the space who produce DFS content, and we've found way higher conversion rates and retention. What kind of retention number would you be looking for? Like number of players playing each day, or
more so, do they come back? Is the experience sticky enough where they play once and they come back the next week and the next week and the next year and the next year?
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of players who play every day and come back and play high volume, and that's really what we try and build the platform around, is to build those tools to enable people to play 50 games, 100 games. We're not so much about how much time you spend on the platform with an app, like compared to an advertising model. We really want to give you the tools to play as many drafts as possible. So,
can you share your long-term revenue forecast?
Yeah. So this year, it's a little bit hard to predict now with right. Knowing where the seasons are at. But we are expecting, assuming sports comes back soon and football season's on track, to do 10 million in buy-ins, so $1 million in revenue approximately this year, and then the next year to 5x that, so 50 million, and make somewhere between 4 and 5 million in revenue.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Good job, Zach. Well, there you have it. All right, Mike Mortimer, you're up next, buddy. And here we go for podium. Mike, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Thanks, Rob. Hey, Tony.
Good.
Hey.
Your sound sounds
good, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Superb. So, yeah. So I'm the founder and CEO of Podium. I've been mountain biking for 15 years, snowboarding for 4, and computer gaming for a very long time now. And the reason I started Podium was because I was frustrated that I couldn't achieve the same level of that deep level of engagement that you get from computer games, but in action sports and many other physical sports for that matter. So, for example, I can't instantly challenge my friends to find out who gets down a trail faster, or maybe who's progressing the quickest on jumps. And secondly, and more importantly, it's difficult and very slow to find new people and new social groups to enjoy my sport with. But if you look at computer gaming, at the press of a button, you're instantly immersed into this world. You can earn a ton of unique achievements across many different game modes, and there's thousands of people waiting on a readily available online community to engage with. And so that Podium is gamifying action sports basically. And so we have three key use cases there. The first is Engage. So Engage is where you can download the free Podium app. You start making new connections. You can debate the latest in the action sports world, and you can find local sessions in your area. If there's a group of people going surfing and it's open it's a bit more of a public session, you can go along to that, or you can manage your own friends and your group of friends and herd the cats, so to speak, using this app. And that is free, right? So that's what we give to the action sports community. That's what we do to support it. But if you want to experience the other two use cases, which are progress your skills and challenge your rivals, progression requires you to buy a Podium device. And you attach this to your gear, so your mountain bike on your handlebars, your binding on your snowboard, your skis, your surfboard, and so on. And what it will do is it will capture your hard work, it will capture your activities through a suite of sensors and some proprietary algorithms that sit on that microcontroller. And with that data, what we can do is issue the user with a broad variety of skill and time-based challenges, basically. So that's progress. And then in challenge, that's where, let's say, you're probably just beyond beginner, or advanced, and you're not too worried about beating personal bests at the moment, maybe, or you're climbing the ranks, right? So you're always seeing the first, second, or first in these games that you're engaging on, and so now it's time for you to engage your community, right? So things like 1v1 and group v group competitions is also what we offer up. It's the same data in the progress category. We're just using it in a different way to engage people together, basically. So they're the three use cases, Tony: engage, progress, and challenge. And the reason that current technology can't deliver the gaming-like experiences that we can is because mobile apps like Strava, anything that uses the mobile platform, will lack data integrity and consistency, and that is essential for a game. Simple as that. Everyone needs to be measured in the same way. And we did and in our survey of 70 mountain bikers, I forgot to mention this, we found that only 28% trust today's tech like Strava in action sports, right? Great for road sports, great for running, but in action sports, whole different ball game. So 28% trust tech. And then if you look at Garmin, though, actual electronic device, got a lot more integrity to it. All of the startups as well that are popping up, the IoT action sports plays, they all lack a community element, really. Everyone, you can share and you can do all this, but the experiences that we're delivering here are deeply integrated with the community experiences, right? So, you buy a Garmin device and there's no real incentive to engage with your community. It's not based around community, right? So we're a community first platform, and we use hardware to make these experiences accessible, basically, and happen. So that's sort of, the perspective on hardware and current mobile apps there. Hopefully, so bringing integrity and community together obviously allows us to deliver these gaming-like experiences. Initially, so like I said, you can download this for free, right, the app, and obviously that will become a critical channel for us. So this is what we're going to be launching with, and we're actually launching the app we're targeting the August the 14th now. It's been in development for a couple of years. We're targeting August the 14th, so not long now. You download that app for free, and obviously you can see everything that's going on in the world, and obviously we tease you with all the potential achievements and the experiences, and you can see everyone else who's got a device, and you're like, but you can't be part of that until you buy a device, and then you can become part of that. And so that's the channel there, and the device, it's a device plus subscription. We could just call it a subscription that's more expensive in the first year, $170 at the moment. That's what's in the model. And then the following year, we would expect you to renew your subscription for $70, and however we charge that monthly, quarterly, yearly, seasonally, whatever you call that. And then, you know, if you don't renew your subscription, you've just got a much limited feature set on that device, basically. But you still got your device, you still own it, you can still do some things with it. You just can't engage with the rest of the platform, basically. Yeah, and then, and the other side of that is parks and resorts. So this is, you know, once we've sort of got off the ground here and we've got something out there in the market that I can go and demonstrate, you know, that's when I want to go and approach and really get more serious with the B2B engagement around parks and resorts and deploying a demo experience there and starting to digitize resorts and bike parks, right? Because we've got all this data, it's very easy to cut that up in certain ways and deliver things like digital leaderboards on site, right? At the end of a ski run, at the end of a mountain bike park run, or in the chalets, in the pubs and all that good stuff, you know. So we want to do that. And we also want to offer up a rental option for $30 per week for mostly snow sports, because there's a lot of people prefer to rent their equipment a lot in snow sports. So that's sort of the model there, I guess, and a little bit about our sort of go-to-market initially. And then viability, yeah. So after optimization of our COGS down to $50, very, very realistic to achieve, and assuming a customer acquisition cost of $30, we're looking at a gross margin of around 69%. So, and you know, I can keep going on unless you've got any questions, you know, about peer data and some of the other bits. The team, I'll just jump to the team, I think, and then we can do the questions, I think. But so, you know, we're a team of 4 at the moment. And between us, you know, we've got over 35 years in consumer product development and brand design experience. My chief of brand and product, Steve, he's won, you know, he's been responsible for winning Red Dot Design Award, IF Award winning products and deploying those globally. Famous fashion brands like GHD in the UK is like a consumer electronic hair straightener, hair dryer brand. Finch, you know, he spent 13 years in software architecture consulting. He's doing all of our cloud architecture and mobile app that you'll see in August. And then myself, I've spent 6 years designing technology for an aerospace company when I used to be a mechanical designer, and then I transitioned over to selling technology, doing enterprise sales, you know, selling into some of the largest companies in the world and advising them on their technology strategy and stuff like that. Now I'm doing Podium. So that's it.
Congrats. It's a great story. Thank you.
Thanks.
So how much of the technology in the devices is yours?
Oh, so I mean, so at the At the moment, 100% is ours, right? You know, the hardware is obviously consumer chips that are off the shelf. You know, we've not done anything, you know, any material science or anything clever like that. What's proprietary is the software that runs on the firmware, right? That runs on the device that detects your activity. Now, what I am looking at, however, is, and I'm in contact with the CEOs of other IoT action sports brands, and trying to find out if there's anything we can borrow or license from them to essentially shortcut the hardware. Because, you know, our proposition is obviously around the bringing community and this data integrity together. That's what will protect our business. We don't necessarily need to own all the IP outright straight up, you know, up front to protect our business, because we have to get the community piece right for any of this to work anyway. And it's very difficult to copy a community. So, that's pretty much on the hardware.
How much have you spent today?
Yeah, so we've raised $265,000 and we've spent, you know, over 240 of that. Yeah, so we're running pretty thin. And what I'm trying to raise is, I mean, look, it's a consumer brand, so we know we need 3 million to get the thing off the ground properly. But right now, I can finish the MVP and procure, I believe, 1,000 pre-orders with 500K. And so I'm hoping to do that round at a $3 million post-money valuation. So about 18%, I think that is. 17, 18, yeah.
Tell me about your marketing plans.
Yeah, so there's obviously this, you know, the ski resorts and bike park element I want to tap into. But before that, the other major element of the marketing plan is obviously brand ambassadors and influencers and pro athlete endorsement. So that is something that I'm working on. I'm like one step away from that at the moment. But yeah, I want a bunch of pro athletes in various action sports spaces on board with Podium, and there's some specific influencers that I want to target on things like YouTube, where they're doing weird and cool things with their bikes, their surfboards, snowboards, and so on. And we want to get a device on there with some of the overlays on their screens and stuff like that, and start helping them use data to deliver their content. So that's some of the ideas that are in there at the moment. But we do believe influencers and athletes are critical for our go-to-market at the moment.
And will the device be sold on your website, retail, Amazon?
At the moment, right this second, and what we'll probably launch with is direct to consumer. So it's all, via the app, essentially. You download the app, we send you to the website, you do your transaction, or digital marketing and so on. Now, that's sort of, I guess, what we think we're coming out the door with at the moment in the plan. If I run into someone who can introduce us to, and get us on the radar of a retailer, a digital retailer or a bricks and mortar, then great, and we'll pursue that conversation. I must admit, I haven't focused on that at the moment.
And you're right. I know the fitness space pretty well. I don't think there's anyone that is offering the technology and the community other than Peloton.
It's funny you say that. So you're not the first to admit. Some people say, "Oh, so it sounds like a Peloton for action sports," and it's a fair thing. We're different, but what they do is they bring a digital community into your living room, right? And we bring a digital community with you on the mountain. So
right.
Yeah.
But it's a good comparison to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Love it, Mike.
Great.
Thanks.
Great job, Mike.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Very good. We're waiting for, let me see if they're here. Let's see. New Wave. They have not jumped on yet. So, Max, you ready to go? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. All right. We're going to switch over Sports Trace.
1 second.
Okay. Mike, you want to reach out to Vince? All right. Stand by, Max. You ready to go, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. There you go,
Hi.
sir.
See me and hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So first, GamePlanU, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been awesome working with Rob, Mike, and Denise. Thank you so much for the feedback over the last couple of weeks. It's been awesome. Tony, thank you for your time. So I'm Max, CEO and co-founder of Sports Trace. At Sports Trace, we provide athletes with information about their most important asset, which is their bodies. We do it with video automation, and we do it to give them actionable recommendations. Now, our mission is to provide every athlete, every coach, any part of the world on any budget, the ability to achieve more. What I want to talk to you about today is the kind of traction that we've gotten, the market that we're in, things that we've done, the plans that we have for the future, and how we're going to get there. So currently, we've never taken any funding, completely bootstrapped. We've eaten our own cloud costs. We've eaten our own sales, travel, and marketing budgets. And we've done so while looking at what potential market is there. We've looked at comparables, and we've looked at other estimates of annual recurring revenue multiples to see that, based on just 1% of our primary total addressable market, we could hit a valuation of $150 to $200 million within 5 to 7 years. When we look at our secondary total addressable markets of sports broadcasting, sports gaming data, healthcare, and physical security, other areas that I'm pretty familiar with, I think we can absolutely achieve those goals. Now, what we're asking for to get to those goals, before I get into the detail, $750,000 for our current and only funding round that we've ever pursued. Now, in terms of our customer acquisition model, right now it's been boots on the ground. We've been out there talking to teams. We've been out there engaging directly with teams because that leverages the network effect and the competitive nature of sports. We're hitting more than one athlete at a time by going to teams, by going to organizations, and by going to different types of affiliation. But we have plans over time to actually go directly to athletes, and we have plans to get into more sports across those 5 to 7 years that I'd mentioned. Right now, our business model is subscription-based. Above our standard tier, we have a premium offering, and that allows our customers to grow. But we've built our platform in such a way that we can license out the services that we have, which are machine learning model creation, motion capture as a service, analytics and recommendations as a service, because we know that athletes and coaches, they have lots of video, but there's also a lot of platforms that have video out there that's sitting in cold storage where we could potentially provide them with a means of monetizing. And far be it from us to leave anybody out of the game. So what are we doing in terms of like working with and against the competition? Right now we see competition kind of two flavors. On the one hand, there's some pretty expensive and cumbersome, I'll say, options out there. People that need sensors, specialized cameras, people that need specialized settings, multiple arrays of cameras. Those are great and they're accurate, but again, they have their drawbacks. On the other hand, there's opportunities to look at video and potentially draw on that video, but we haven't really seen the accuracy that really meets the needs of the athlete. What we're trying to do is actually combine the best of all of those worlds. Accurate, cost-effective, and extremely timely in the performance data that we give back. And like I said before, we can do it with any video. We feel that right now, however, our competitive advantage is that we see a lot of these solutions that are just giving data. And to the fact where when we go out and engage with teams, they have entire operational analytics teams. We don't want to put them out of business. We want to get rid of the mundane work. So we've been working with the competition, reaching out to them to see how we can build onto their kind of data personalization and insight story. It's a series of phases that they've actually outlined to us, which is great. How it works, our solution is all you need to do is take video. And we say that with a bit of a caveat. If you provide us with a video from a 15-year-old flip phone that has, half of somebody's face or head, it's a little bit tough to actually define exactly what the body's doing. But once we do get that video, we identify the sport, we identify the activity in that sport, and we identify the body in 3D to be able to make those actionable insights, those analytics, into those recommendations. And we found that now it's been very valuable thus far. Our traction has been in our one pilot team in Division I NCAA baseball, 7 other teams on the wait list. They've been an incredible partner to us. We're really fortunate earlier this year. We got to go down and see some baseball before, tragedy struck and the pandemic broke out. But we've also been able to have hundreds of market validation conversations with industry experts, other investors, other founders, both fledgling and successful, athletes, coaches, scientists, you name it, try to validate that this idea is real. While we've been doing that, we've also been pursuing intellectual property protection through patents, and we've been fielding calls from some other accelerators and investors. So we've been very fortunate that way. Right now, in terms of our team, we're incredibly passionate about sports. My co-founder, Alex Gardner, he played golf in college. I've played baseball to this day. And it's been that passion around sports that kind of drove us to this solution that before we decided and validated that it was going to be a business, we said, this is just something cool that we want to do. Now, as a tech-first company, I'm ex-Microsoft, my co-founder's ex-Microsoft. We feel like we have the chops to do this, and we feel that we can deliver to teams information that matters. And at Sports Trace, we measure what matters. So thanks for your time, and please let me know what kind of questions you have.
That's awesome. It's really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what did you do at Microsoft?
All kinds of stuff. Started out e-commerce before they knew what e-commerce was, and built that up to $2.5 billion business, which was pretty cool. I worked in Windows and Xbox Gaming Cloud security. So occasionally I get to put on my my white hat, my white hat, and I worked in Azure as well.
Got it. So I love the space. I want to make sure I understand the technology and more importantly the application. So talk about what you're doing for the baseball team. Talk about what kind of analytics you're providing them, what kind of data, and how it's actionable for the athletes.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, I was actually just had to go through all this. We had a couple of customer calls, plus I had to put it in the patent the other day. So when we take that video, when we can understand what the body is doing over time, and we can apply it to a specific set of measurements in a sport, then we can start to say, how consistently are you doing something? And how consistent are you against what I'll call industry standards, right? If you think about it, before the advent of video, we all learned to hit a baseball like swing level through the ball. But what have you heard lately? Swing up. You want to elevate that launch angle, right? That's just simple video. And when we're looking at not just individual motions, right? How fast is your torso turning? Things that our competition can do with sensors, which is awesome. But we're just doing with video. Or, you know, how far is your stride length? And then what sequence are those things occurring in? When we look at those levels of consistency and we look at, you know, when those peaks arise in terms of velocity and distance and, you know, angular movement, then we can come back and say, match it against the kind of recommendations that we've been given through our trusted industry partners. Our coaches come back and say, these are great recommendations, but hey, have you thought about adding this one? So we've made it very flexible to be able to put those recommendations that are, you know, they're product-based, they're information-based, they're drill-based. Here are the things that you can do. Here's how consistent you were. And here's how you've been doing over time.
So the analysis that you're providing, is it completely driven through machine-based learning, or is some of it human analyzing and or recommending drills, skills, equipment?
Oh, well, we had to start out with human analysis, right? That was our baseline. What are people doing today and what's good? And then how could we build on that with machine learning? We're very excited about the standard kind of things that we can measure right now, the things we know about. But when we start to blow this out and really tease it out and start to look at the kind of correlations in body movement that we haven't even thought of yet, I mean, the sky's the limit.
And as you scale that, again, I'm trying to understand how much of it is the machine-based learning and how much do you need the human component to have the qualitative analysis along with the machine-based?
So we step completely out of the quantitative analysis and the qualitative after, you know, our initial input. So from there, obviously we take feedback from our customers. We want to know, how is this doing? What can we tweak in our model? But right now, that process is completely automated. We do have the ability, obviously, to adjust it, but it is really in the scale of the machine learning and the automation.
Great, terrific. That's what I was hoping you were going to say. So tell me about the business model. How are you going to make money?
Sure. Subscription based. We like to say, you know, on par with a Netflix subscription. And we've looked at, you know, how many customers there are in our addressable market. Year over year, we're going to start slow. I won't lie. We're going to hit baseball. We're going to hit running. We're going to hit golf, and we're going to hit tennis. Not just because we like those things, but because we found there's a lot of traction in those markets, and there's very isolated scenarios that will help us with our ability to refine these models. That subscription model, that recurring revenue, that'll really be what drives us. But like I said before, we've also been reaching out to other companies that already have video to see what opportunities for partnership there are there and to be able to license out those services. On top of the regular subscriptions, we have a few premium features for both teams and individuals.
And how much is the sub?
So for an individual athlete, about $100.
And is that monthly?
That's yearly.
Annual, okay, good.
Yes. Otherwise, I don't know. I wouldn't want Netflix if it costs that much.
Right. And are you selling sub packages to teams and schools as well? And is that a different model?
It's a slightly different model, but so far the idea of the subscription cost is commensurate. We meter out to teams and or academies approximately 40 individuals. So we scale it like that and give them different.
And did you say you're working with one baseball team currently?
That's right.
And when did you start working with them?
Just in the fall. So the baseball rhythm of business, I guess it's good. It's pretty predictable. I won't say there's anything good about a pandemic, but I will say that, you know, as a distributed team at Sports Trace, like we have folks all across the country, and it's been great to be able to stay connected because that was our model to start with. The rhythm of business of baseball, we knew that during this spring, we'd mostly only be able to go out and observe, which fortunately, again, for us, we got the opportunity to do in February. But we know that we need to come hard charging out of the summer and into the fall, because that's when they're looking at and evaluating different technologies, not just at the amateur and collegiate levels, but at the professional level as well.
Great. And you mentioned you're looking to raise 750, correct?
That's right.
And two-part question. So that's based on evaluation of what, and what would you do with the 750?
So that 750, we're looking at 8 to 10%. So that'd be somewhere between, 7.5 and 9.5 ish. Obviously, that is something that we would negotiate. In terms of what we would do with that, so I've built operational production centers around the world for Microsoft in all of my jobs, including hiring outsourced engineering teams. So I've already talked, even though we write our own code right now, I've talked to other organizations that I trust in terms of being able to outsource more of the operational support, perhaps some of the engineering as well. But we do have some frontline FTE engineers lined up as well. In addition to that, we've been reaching out in all of our, hundreds of conversations, and so we're seeing for sales. So we've set up what our sales pipeline looks like. We have our CRM up there. We have our different stages of the sales cycle, but we want to be able to plug people in and have somebody essentially with us as founders run that sales cycle. So it'd be money to support both.
Great, thank you. And give me your revenue forecast for the next few years.
So next few years, let me up. So what we're looking at for next year, it'd be very modest revenue of 190K. 2 years from that, in 2023, we're looking at 3 million, and 2 or 3 years from that, we're looking at upwards of 30. And again, that's fairly linear growth in terms of the overall user base, but it is like well within the boundaries of the addressable market.
Great. Thank you. Love it. Good stuff.
Thank you so much. Rob, is it time?
Thanks,
I saw you jump back on.
Yeah, I'm like the grouchy neighbor looking out the window. Those damn kids playing in the street still.
You were out there with your phone out the window, so I know it. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
You bet, man. See ya. All right. We're going to bounce back to New Wave. So I think we. I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. We're going to bring Derek in here. Here you go, Derek. How's that?
Hey, how's it going?
I disappeared. You sound good. Tony, you're good?
Yes, sir. Hey, Derek.
Excellent. How you doing, Tony?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome. My name's Derek Hobbs. I'm the co-founder of New Wave Sports. New Wave Sports is a SaaS company, pre-revenue. Our mission is to help high school athletes gain greater visibility from college sports programs, while also providing college coaching staffs a low-risk tool to assess potential talent in greater volume and detail. The big problem with this industry, and if you played sports, is getting that visibility. Usually it takes personal connections or a family that has quite a bit of money. And our goal was to level the playing field by making an affordable platform for self-marketing. So we really wanted to make it as close to LinkedIn as possible, but for athletes. And for colleges, they would, for them, it would be a risk mitigation tool. Right now, they spend weeks, if not months, and tons of resources to send scouts to locations to someone they might have heard about, or if they're looking at just stats. This would allow them to get a better idea of who they are in a variety of ways. So how it works is an athlete would make a profile. They'd fill in their academic info by uploading an unofficial transcript. Their social, they could link their social media profiles to it, and then uploading their athletic information. Centralizing all of this information is key to coaching staffs, because now they, like right now the process is they get a prospect and they now have 12 tabs open trying to find all the information they can around this person. And that's where our value is that we save them tons of time in that R&D. And what our platform allows them to do is coach creates a profile. They now have access to a player database. They can filter this player database by state, graduation year, position, and it's skinned depending on what sport they're looking at. So this platform allows them to then create a short list. And then once they've set their short list, they can then just in one click import all the information about all of those players and all of their data directly into their system, and allows them to quickly digest and make decisions on who the best candidate is. So our short-term goal is to break into the market by going after the underserved student athletes, like track and field, cross country, band, esports, and cheer and dance. That's a large market that nobody's really looking at. I think it was about 3.3 million potential customers, which is, we were originally going for football, which is much more saturated, and that's where we have a majority of our connections across the country. We have connections to universities, university programs all over the country. My business partner on this and co-founder, Vince, who is unfortunately very sick today and couldn't do this pitch, he was a student athlete. He played D1 football. He's the one that has been a coach and a player in this industry with the industry knowledge. And so the market validation for him, I mean, it was his experience trying to get recruited and trying to get to that next level. And one of the things that he brought up was, a lot of the platforms that are out there right now aren't very accurate. Like, rivals will say, you're a 2-star, you're a 3-star, you're a 4-star. And, maybe those evaluations might give somebody a negative review or a negative bias from a coach before they've even looked at anything. And we've got friends that are playing in the NFL now who were given 2-star ratings. So we want to try to level that playing field, make it cost effective, and get more kids getting looks, while also helping the universities save their time and money and resources to doing what they do best, which is coach kids and build programs.
Terrific. Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your background?
My background, actually, originally I was a published scientist in neuroscience. And after I left that world to start a software company, I had an idea for prospective grad students, pivoted that company to then doing high volume small fish website builds. And now I've been doing enterprise solutions, just custom enterprise solutions, and trying to build out products as I solve problems in various verticals.
Interesting. Thank you. So I'm somewhat familiar with this space. One, I had a daughter who played soccer, and she went through this process. And two, being in the sports industry, I've talked to people in the space. So it seems like it's fairly crowded. I know of NCSA, Captain U, and a couple others. How are you different from the marketplace right now?
There's a few different ways that we are different. One is the centralization of all that data. That really separates us. It's mostly the data, but a lot of the Captain U's, they don't really expand past half a dozen universities. I don't know if you've noticed their market, but it seems like their model was partner with as many universities as they could, start camps, and then recruit from those camps and get subscriptions to those camps. And it seemed like they fell short on really trying to expand nationally and go bigger and potentially internationally. And that's like the grander version and vision for this thing, because there are lots of other, international football and soccer players, like people that are either come to the US or maybe they can't make it to the NFL, so they want to move to an international league. Like these connections there's not really a platform that helps people see this level. And so we wanted to break it into different buckets, like, high school recruit. So New Wave recruit, New Wave pro, and then, post pro and post athletic career move into the actual job placement piece. Like that's the very long-term version. we want to get athletes from cradle to grave in their athletic career and then help them move on.
Thank you. So business model is for the athletes to pay, or the universities, or both?
Right now it's just the athletes. So we were doing, our subscription model is $12.99 a month or $100 annual. And with how most high school, we were going to target the parents, because $100 for their kid to get advertised for a year. There's parents that are paying thousands of dollars for their kids to potentially earn a scholarship to save them that money for college. So $100 so $400 over their high school career wouldn't be too bad. That was what our thinking was. I wanted to keep it free for the universities if possible, maybe make add-ons for integrating with their in-house technology like Jump. There's two big software packages that most universities use. So making that custom integration was it was kind of rattled around in our brains if that's something that we should do and maybe make an add-on charge. But for the most part, we were going to target the student athletes.
Any other revenue channels, advertising, events, clinics?
Yeah, so our thoughts on other revenue streams were also add-ons to student athletes, like if they wanted to get on our podcast, to then have our marketing team help them make a professional video that allows these universities to come in and see, like, get a quick snippet who they are, just a little bit more professional production quality video for them. But other than that, like with the numbers that we were looking at, a 2.5% market penetration could generate up to 10-15 million a year. And talking with Rob, he said that most of these market pens you could aim for 8 or expect around 8. And if that's true, then we'd actually be making decent revenue, and it'd be a pretty lean operation, since we'd be doing strong like affiliate marketing deals through various camps, conferences. So yeah.
Have you raised any money to date?
No, we have not. We have just started raising money. This is our first actual opportunity to start raising some money, because we've put in about $80,000 into the tech, and we're asking for $300K. We want to finish the tech up and then put the rest into sales and marketing.
Where does the tech stand?
Right now, it's about, I'd say, 70% done. All of the player side is done, and the coaches side is mostly done. I'd like to add in a few more features that make it more LinkedIn, it's more like data features, where players can receive notifications on regions that coaches have been searching them from, so that then they might tailor their list for their letters of intent to match maybe where they're getting more looks, to increase their ability to get to the next level, or at least increase the chance.
And what are your thoughts in terms of marketing activity to generate some acquisition?
We have about 80 different contacts, so influencers, high level, professional athletes, and that was where we wanted to start, because we know that some endorsements from major players can change the game for you. But we have so many contacts to coaching staffs like Boise State, Cal, Colorado, University of Colorado. Like we have a lot of contacts within these universities and athletic departments that would make our beta grounds, so like getting us to beta and being able to test in university environments very quickly, much easier. That path of resistance is gone since there's a lot of personal relationships. But from there, social media pushes, clinics, campaigns like 7-on-7s for bands, and like cross country, they have meets. But bands, they do parades where they'll bring all the high school kids in to play with the colleges. And there's nobody there. There's no one marketing any products there because they're so underserved. And, the average marching band's 200 kids. And so to be able to give them a voice and have them get into a program would be I think, very lucrative.
That's great. And how many universities have actual competitive esports programs as opposed to club programs at this point?
Not very many. The NCAA they unanimously voted to revisit it. But there's a very large population, and it's constantly growing, of high school kids that are wanting to use this to get scholarships. There is a path to scholarships through esports right now, but they're not actually competing. So that was the angle for them, was just to help them get visibility for scholarships, because a lot of these universities are looking for student athletes that can not only play their sport or but to also like be great academically.
Right.
A lot of these underserved markets they're all made up of great academics too, generally.
Derek, can you share your revenue forecast for the next few years?
Yeah. So for the first year, we were hoping to get up to 1.6 million, and by year 2, we wanted that to get to 3.1, and by year 3, we're hoping for 4.6. But without knowing what our actual like penetration numbers would be, like I would like to see that go faster year 2. Like I could imagine it jumping a lot higher in year 2. Trying to be as conservative as I could and realistic, like how many people can we onboard and how fast can we do it. But if with universities kind of dictating what the high school coaches do, for the most part, those athletic departments, they have the connections to those high school coaches. And so that's why I'm thinking it could go a lot better than what I'm projecting, because I tried to be very conservative, like 1 to 2.5% market pens. So
great. Terrific. Thank you. Great stuff.
Thanks.
And Derek, you got to tell Vince, he's never heard of playing hurt before.
Oh, well, that was another cool thing about this tool is like, say someone's a top 100 prospect, gets injured, that makes the news. And so,
I was talking about he's sick. He's got to get out here. If he's sick, come on.
He is very ill. He's at the bucket next to the bed for 72 hours. Yeah.
Well, good job stepping in for him.
Yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Derek. All right, man. Take care. All right. Good job. All right. Down to the last one, Tony.
Beautiful.
There we go. Here we go, Alex. How's your sound, sir?
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. Good job.
How you guys doing?
Good, Alex. How are you?
Can't complain. I'm here in California right now.
We're in California.
Westlake Village.
Sounds nicer than Chicago.
It's one of the most beautiful cities I've been to. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but doing some business here for now. Going back in a few days, so making the most of it. But yeah, let me just, jump right in. My name is Alex Androsky. I'm the CEO of Wooter. And Wooter Apparel is a company we created. It's a direct-to-consumer platform for ordering premium team uniforms and fully custom apparel, right? So there's a few problems in the space. Number one, it's hard for coaches, teams, and sports organizations to order their custom uniforms and apparel, right? There's not, there's many places to go to, but there's not like one centralized, one-stop shop location where they could fully customize a platform, put together a package, and place an order. So the other thing is, if they are trying to get a good price, they probably have to work with a factory overseas. However, if they do that, it's kind of unsafe. There's many people that get scammed, and working with factories overseas is not the best idea for local organizations. The last problem is that these apparel manufacturers, these uniform manufacturers that we work with overseas, they work in the Stone Age. So their whole business and operations is run through Excel sheets and paper and pen. And this problem, or these problems, they get amplified because of the size of the market. Just for the custom sports apparel business alone, it's a $27 billion market. When you take the full sportswear apparel market, when you include like Nike and Under Armour, and not just the customized part of it, just the sportswear part of it, it's over $181 billion, right? So this is where we come in. This is where Wood Apparel comes in. Like I mentioned before, we give these sports organizations a way to save a lot of money by designing their own uniforms when they partner with Wooder. And these coaches, these teams, they can work directly with our vouched and pre-qualified factories all around the world. They get the guaranteed best price, and we deliver within 2 to 3 weeks. It's one of the fastest times in the market. When you're buying from Nike, right now you're waiting about 6 months. Given the current situation. And then last but not least, going back to the factories, they actually could use our software, and they can manage all the orders through the cloud and maximize their efficiencies, streamline operations, and reduce mistakes. So with that said, that's a problem, that's a solution. We consider ourselves the leader when it comes to customized uniforms. We're online direct to consumer, that's one. There's no inventory for us to manage. That's why we have really, really high margins. Everything goes straight to from the factory to the customer. Like I mentioned before, we have a market-leading turnaround of 2 to 3 weeks. We guarantee the best pricing. It's pretty much factory direct pricing. And we've delivered in over 45 countries around the world already. And to add to those 5 key points I just mentioned, we also have every single sport. You name it: basketball, football, baseball, cricket, volleyball, every single sport we have, plus other items like backpacks, warm-ups, hoodies, caps, socks, balls, we can do and customize. So with all that said, we've started a little over 3.5 years ago. We actually had $10 million in revenue in the first 3 years. So, that was, that's definitely something that we consider, a good job by the team. And, but we wouldn't have been able to do that without the kind of partners that we have. So we work with some of the top organizations in the world, such as the National Guard. We work with the NFL alumni. We've done orders for the Department of Defense, Pop Warner, AAU, Police Department, the YMCA, the JCC, etc. We also have partnered with people like Kawhi Leonard, Carmelo Anthony, Master P, Floyd Mayweather, just name a few people. So that's kind of testament to their brand when we're trusted by the world's greatest athletes and the world's best sports organizations. A little breakdown about the platform that we built. You combine the one-stop shop, like I mentioned, for every single sport, every single item. You add a layer of customization, which is really the big key here, is that every single inch of the uniform or the t-shirt or the backpack, whatever you're ordering from us, is fully customizable. So you could do that by speaking directly with our designers through our platform, or you could just customize it yourself through our online builder. And then the last layer here is the technology. So we give our factories a dashboard, and they can see everything that's going on. They can get to see their orders, the progress. They can update the orders that goes directly to the customers. And one of the key things here is that our algorithms determine how the order and where the order goes, based on the pricing, the turnaround time, if it's a returning customer or not. So we pretty much built a fully automated custom ordering process that tremendously lowers costs. And it's really, I don't know of anything else like that in the market. I'm sure Nike and Under Armour have their own, internal backends for things like this. But when it comes to such a large scale, we're working with over 20 factories around the world. And we can hold up to 200 factories as the demand for uniforms and custom apparel goes up. So it's a very, very simple experience for the customers to design and create their own order. There's also software for like wholesalers, team dealers, distributors, even our own inside salespeople that they use to manage all the orders. Of course, there's factory accounts where they can manage their full production and update the clients directly. Right now it's only for Wooter orders, but sometime next year we plan to release it kind of like a white label solution so that these thousands of factories around the world can use it for their own clients, not just Wooter clients. And everything's fully scalable, right? From the product development, from the onboarding, everything's with scalability in mind. So that's pretty much sums up our whole apparel platform, and kind of the main reason for our success is the apparel. But a little behind the scenes stuff is also we create a full cloud software for sports organizations, and we give it out for free. It's actually one of our biggest growth hacks. And when we first started, we started with offering these apps and software for leagues to do their scheduling, create their websites, make their own little app, the full league management software. Players get their own app, they get the stats tracking app, and that's been going at 10 times user growth the last 3 years, year over year. So all these users are funneled directly into the Apparel platform, and that's been one of our biggest keys to success, is that all these guys that are using our software are also buying apparel through us and converting at a really high conversion rates. So the main team right now, it's myself. I'm the CEO. I have a partner, David. I have another partner, Alex. He's my CMO. And we have a CTO, Carlos. Myself, David, and Alex, we met through sports. I actually met David on the YMCA court playing some pickup basketball. Funny story is David actually met Alex, my partner Alex Kagan, also at the basketball court. So that's kind of brings us all together. Carlos, my CTO, he was actually I don't remember, it was like a second or third employee of a company that was sold to Facebook, and it was sold for over $120 million. And he was one of the first users there. So he's over 15 years of experience, and he leads our tech team. But yeah, right now we're looking to raise up to $5 million for the company. We're valuing the company at $25 million, and we're going to be using that money to, expand our tech team, expand our platform, build out all our applications, and also fund new marketing campaigns and create new partnerships. Luckily, I'll finish with this. Rob knows about this, but others don't. During this time, for the last 3 months, because sports have been shut down, we started a company called Cove Care. Cove Care is a medical supply and logistics company. So instead of using our supply chain and distribution network in China for uniforms, because no one really needs them right now, we were using it for PPE and face masks. So like gowns, gloves, masks, all this stuff we've been bringing it into the United States and other countries around the world. And, we've actually done the last 2.5 months, we've done over $18 million in revenue there. So it's been kind of a blessing in disguise. And I'll end it there.
Wow. It's a great story. Congratulations. Phenomenal success. 3.5 years, 10 million in revenue. If I heard you right, 45 countries, 20 factories. That's some serious success.
Yep. And we just, in the last 2 months, we doubled the revenue pretty much just from our new company, Cove Care.
So I've got a lot of questions, and I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Sure.
You're on a great trajectory. Where would you like to be in 5 years with this company?
So I'm seeing us go towards more of a marketplace, right? The way our software is scaling is, we want to just continuously onboard more and more factories and just streamline the full operation where the client, once they place the order, goes directly to the factory and they're able to just factory able to control everything without us having to, worry about anything. Right now, it's we're still play a very, very large portion of the process of just controlling everything, making sure the clients get the products. And I think within 5 years, it's really not gonna be in 5 years, more like within 2 years, it's gonna be completely seamless. We're not gonna have to lay a finger on it. We're not have to do anything. It's more of a just the factories will be able to respond to customers' needs, problems, redos, everything like that. So that's one part. The second part is there's just so many verticals here in the sports space that are available to us, not just from the software perspective, but when you're running a sports league, and we actually ran our own basketball league for about 3 years. That's how we built our software for our own league. There's also insurance. There's also referees. There's also, you need to book a court. So these three things are they're not as cost intensive as apparel, but they are much needed. So we plan to add these services down the line 5 years from now. If you're asking me what that plan is right now, obviously we're focused one day at a time, but 5 years from now, I would expect having these different verticals. So like apparel, sports, software, insurance, referees, court bookings, all on a router, all on one platform. And I think that's how it can be $1 billion company just in the sports space, by providing a league or sports organization with everything they possibly need to run the league.
Great, thank you. So you mentioned 20 factories. Do you own them, or are you leasing?
It's a contract. So
okay.
Each of them we sign a 2-year contract. It'd be too much work for us to be it gives us a lot more flexibility by not owning these factories. At any point, let's say if we need a basketball factory, we can add it if we need more demand for that. But it's very, very easily scalable when we could just partner up and sign a contract with a new factory.
And same thing for the apparel, the blanks. Is that your inventory, or is that someone else's inventory?
I'm not really sure. So we pretty much create the full apparel from scratch.
Oh, you do?
We could make blanks. We don't buy blanks. Everything's made from the factory.
You're manufacturing your own blanks, and then the local baseball team that wants 30 uniforms, they design it, and then you manufacture against their design.
It all starts from the actual fabrics. So we don't buy blanks. We have our own fabrics in the factories. We have our own production lines. We print it, stitch it, and send it.
So walk me through the retail cost if I'm a team, and then your margins against that.
So let's say a basketball uniform, which is one of our highest margins. We're getting a basketball set for about $10 a uniform, and we're selling it for, let's say, $40 to $50 per uniform. That includes a full customization. That includes the shipping and handling from overseas, and yeah.
And are you getting more competition from, or are you winning more business from the Nikes and the Under Armours, or Dick's Sporting Goods, or the local mom and pop shop that produces a little bit?
So local mom and pop shops, they're coming to us to produce their uniforms. Nike and Under Armour, right now is going to be a really good time for us to take away their market, because I know, just for example, let's say football. Obviously, then the college teams, they're going to be well addressed. They're not going to, Nike's going to do everything they can to make sure that the college teams are fully outfitted. That's their money's there. But the high school teams, the other recreational leagues, the amateur leagues, they're not going to be getting stuff from Nike for maybe 6 months right now because of the current situation. Order's going to be there for these teams, and we're going to be able to come in and provide all the stuff within 2-3 weeks. So I plan to take a lot of market away from these big three, as I say, Under Armour, Adidas, Nike.
What countries are your factories in?
Pakistan, China, India. Those are most of our stuff are there. We have one in DR. We actually have a factory here in the United States as well, here in California.
So you're looking to raise $5 million, right?
Yes.
And tell me again what you're going to do with that money.
We're gonna build out our team. We're gonna build out our technology. Continue automating everything. Just build out our operations, and also just use a smaller portion of that money to just market more aggressively. Right now, as you know, it's a lot of sports businesses that failed, and I mean, we would be, we might be there too if we didn't find Cove Care, the new company. But now we're gonna be the front runners. Anyone that needs uniforms, we're open right now. It's still slow, but we're getting uniforms delivered in 2 weeks because we have unlimited production and not enough orders. So,
I'm sorry. How are people finding you right now? How does a team, a school, become aware of Wooter?
So my expertise is online marketing, and we have built everything around our SEO. I mean, we have tens of thousands of keywords in the first page of Google. You type in sublimated basketball uniforms, you'll find us. This is one example. Now, that's one thing. Obviously, we're also doing Google AdWords. We're doing Facebook campaigns. We're doing a lot of sponsorships, a lot of social media, a lot of email campaigns. I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff. We have maybe about, I want to say 40,000 organic traffic per month, visitors that are all looking for uniforms, coaches, leagues, sports organizations, and then double that just from paid advertising. And then other people come from email campaigns, other people come from social media campaigns.
And have you been self-funding to date, or do you have some investors already?
No, this would be our first round. Me and my partners put in $300,000 of our own money when we first started, and we also raised another extra $300,000 from friends and family. But that's it. That was 4 or 5 years ago.
It's amazing. Great story.
Thank you.
Alex, I just remember, I think the last time we really talked, you were like taking phone calls from hospitals.
Yeah.
Right?
There's there's a few monster deals that could just double the revenue we have now from one deal alone that we're working on right now. But I mean, we had a lot like Montefiore. We work with them. Stewart Healthcare, which is the largest for-profit hospital chain in the United States. They come to us for their orders. Mount Sinai. Just you name it. There's so many. You go on our Cove.care, you'll see some of the partners that have trusted us somehow with big $1 million orders just for PPE and supplies.
I mean, just for the biggest pivot move in the century, you pulled off in 3 months, man. It is it's incredible.
Monster. It's a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
Did you say you're in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. My parents are from Russia, and I'm Russian.
But is your business located in Brooklyn or
in Staten Island, New York?
Okay.
I mean, we have an office in China as well, in Dongguan.
Got it. Excellent. Phenomenal story.
Thank you.
Great job, Alex. Worth the wait?
Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the weather out there.
Yeah, I am. I sure am.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, Tone, that was it. That was 4 hours of pitches over 2 days.
That's a good experience.
That was good. It was different for us, right? And coming out the first one in Orlando was a little bit different experience over 3 days and getting to know everybody. And, this one, obviously, we had to do it virtually. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but there's nothing like that, face to face.
No, you missed the personal energy and the opportunity to connect with people before and after and just see the totality of the person and their vision. But I felt like these presentations came through really strongly. Energy came through, passion came through. So it's good, really solid.
Yeah, good. Any final words and any advice and next steps? You just want to reiterate some things?
Well, I look forward to hearing back from everybody. I think that there are some amazing visions, some great founders, and some really solid businesses in various phases. One thing that I've been telling people lately is make sure you know what you're looking for when you talk to someone relative to whether it's advisory, whether it's investment, whether it's helping raise money. Make it easy for people to bolt on and be a resource for you. Don't just say, I need help, without being able to define what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll be sending out emails to everybody, and thanks just to make introductions so you guys could schedule your one-on-ones with Tony and Bob. But it's been a crazy 3 months that we all went through, and certainly with this and hung in there. I think everybody stayed positive, but I definitely want to say thank you again to Mike Scharfenberg, who's backstage, and Mike, all his work on going out there and managing and pulling in a lot of these founders. And then Denise Zach as well is working with us on the back end and working one-on-one with some of these folks. And then Zach and Abby and John as well, who are out there, who work very hard behind the scenes and are learning the business and then working with the founders. So we want to thank everybody for all their help and their energy behind this. But most of all, again, we couldn't thank enough the founders and the guts and the, everything else, that the courage that it takes. A lot of you guys have left full-time jobs, and some of you are just grinding away trying to make this happen, and some are relocating, in the middle of this. And we couldn't thank you enough for your energy and everything you're doing. And we hope to see everybody down in Orlando in January. Tony and I, we know we'll be there, and Denise and Mike, the whole crew. So, Tony, thank you again for your time and your support and your advice and all the kind things that you've done for us.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it.
All right. So on behalf of Tony and Mike and the whole crew at GamePlanU, thank you everybody for watching. This will be on our YouTube channel, Sports Biz Radio. It'll be sitting there for eternity. It's going to be an evergreen. So enjoy it, and thanks everybody again. Take care now.